Hello friends, it's Michelle at Tape and Twine, and this is just the second part of the video I was working on making a Happy Mail trifold folder from a manila envelope. And the manila envelope was a piece of junk mail I had received in the mail that had a small window in it. So if you didn't see video 1, you can go backwards if you want to see that, or you can just jump in here. So just to kind of review what I did, it was a envelope that had a window here, and I think it was some kind of policy or bill, and it was orientated this way. So there was the stamp was here, and the return address was there, and then the opening was there. So I sliced the opening so that there's an opening for the envelope there, and we have a window, and then I collaged on top of it. And then I took a junk mail white envelope and sewed that on the middle panel because I folded it in 3, and that provides an envelope, and it provides the back cover or the front cover, however you want to do it. And then on the inside I put some wallpaper and some scrapbook paper and cut the other side of the envelope, so I have another pocket there. And instead of just putting this envelope directly on the back and gluing it on or sewing it on, I only did 3 sides, so I have another pocket here. So I have at this point 1 pocket, 2 pockets, 3 pockets, 4 pockets, 5 pockets, and 6 pockets. So that will provide a lot of real estate for my Happy Mail and putting a lot of things inside of it. Sometimes I make a journal, sometimes I'll make, it depends what I'm feeling. And this Happy Mail is going to my friend Amy, and I've already sort of made her journals before. So in this particular case, I'm just going to really do a folio. I think I've done a journal for her. I'm just going to do a folio so I can put lots of goodies in there. Plus it was her birthday, so I really want to make sure I stuff it in. So now, when I left yesterday's video, I was sewing this on because rather than gluing this paper down, again, I just made a pocket. So I needed to put some sewing on, and then my bobbin ran out, and I needed to refill that. So I do have an empty bobbin here. I don't know, I'll have to decide at the end when I'm putting the final details whether or not that bothers me or not. So the next step I'm going to do is this panel. So I bought some wallpaper at a thrift shop this past week, and I was kind of lining it up, and I think I like it with these 2 patterns. And I was thinking, rather than chopping it off here, I might slide it in the envelope. Number 1, to reinforce this edge and make it sturdier, like that. But also, it makes this window a little bit prettier when nothing's in it. It's not that ugly orange envelope. So I think I'm going to do that, but I can't really sew it because of all the pockets. So I'm just going to have to glue it down with Fabri-Tac, and then I have this area I'll have to deal with. So maybe what I will do is, let's see what I have hanging around here. If I put some words underneath it, that would be fine, but I don't like that straight line, so I'll do it on top. So I'll save that for a minute. So now I'm going to I'm going to Fabri-Tac it, and I'll just do one side at a time because I really don't want, to get the inside all messy before I have to. Okay. I'm going to line it up with the top, and I have to let's see what I missed with Fabri-Tac. I missed this area here, which I'll put actually on the wallpaper now that I see the edge. Oh, I don't know if y'all noticed, but very much like rubber glue, if you get a little bit of Fabri-Tac on something, you can take your finger and rub it off when it's still somewhat wet. It's not perfect, but it does get most of it off. Okay, so now I'm going to fit this in here. And I'll admit, I did trim it before I turned the camera on, just because I didn't want to be off camera. I felt like I was off camera a lot in the last video doing things, and I don't want to be rude. Now, I don't think I need to really put a lot of Fabri-Tac on here because it's the inside and it's going to get stuck all over this plastic, and I really have anxiety about getting Fabri-Tac in here and having it stick. So I think what I'm going to do is just put a little here just to keep it nice and tight up here. And then I'm going to put it just a few dots here. And now I have to be super careful getting it in so that I don't get it on that plastic window. Okay, that worked out good. So now you see it's nicely reinforced right here. It makes a much nicer inside to this pocket. And we have a little bit of the lace that sticks out here, which is nice. So now I'm going to put a little bit of the paper here. Make a little mark. And I'm going to use a glue stick for that. This glue stick is almost done. I think I've pretty much used, oh, I should have inked that. Does anybody do that sometimes? They forget to ink, and I just have to be very careful not to get glue on my ink pad. Alrighty. And I want to cover all of that orange, because I'm not a big fan. And I'll take my bigger scissors and, oh, I guess my big scissors went missing. Trim this side. Okay. So now I need to figure out what I want to do there. I like this look, but I'd like something else in there. I need to reinforce this a little bit. Oh, that's risky. There we go. All right. I have this applique doily, and I'm wondering if I slide it in here and fold it over, I like that. Can you see that? See how the, hopefully you can see that, how the lace peeks out there. And then when I open it, it's here. And I can make this into like maybe a little pocket as well by just putting Fabri-Tac in just the right places. So I'm going to do this side just like I did before. I'm going to do this side first. I like how that sticks out there. And I'm just going to put it in very specific places. Now I'm going to start one by one because I think this has to be a little bit precise. And I'm going to stretch it a little bit as I go so that it all lands in the right place. So while I'm doing this, I'm just going to say that yesterday when I turned the camera off, I went and made dinner. And while I was making dinner, I watched as many of the response videos as I could to this copyright angel policy situation that's been kind of happening. And I have some thoughts. I don't know if you want to hear them, but you know what? This is just my opinion. So I watched Artie Mae's, and I think it's Gypsy Rose, and Joy de Vie, and Tracy Fox had a live chat, which I mixed, but they have the video on there, and I watched that. I'm not going to do these threes because I want to make a little bit of a pocket. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to secure this in here. So I think I'm going to have to do a bunch of them all at once, and again, try to be as neat as possible. So, you know, it occurred to me, first of all, I guess I've been traveling a lot this month because August is a time that I can catch up with family and friends. And I think I've missed a lot of the threads on these Facebook groups that are being referred to. I want to stick down these because these are not, it's not a pocket on the inside. I'm really risking it here with all this Fabri-Tac, and I know it. I'm just going to let it sit for a second. I know I'm probably risking that too, but I'm afraid it's going to be too goopy. Let me open this. Let's see if I'm capable of doing this. This is going to be hard, I think. So anyway, going back to the copyright thing, people are very upset when they're speaking, which means that they've had some really personal things happen to them, which I really feel bad about because it's been my experience with this community that it's a very thoughtful and generous community. I don't think people are intentionally trying to hurt people, but I do think that if you are in this community, you do have a responsibility to educate yourself. And you can't just do things mindlessly. I suppose if you're making a journal and no one's ever going to see it and you're making it for yourself, personally, if I was an artist, I am an artist, if you took something I did and you copied it without my permission and used it in your own journal, first of all, I'd never know, and second of all, I really wouldn't care. But I can't speak for everybody out there, but you're probably not breaking too many rules. However, having said that, Pinterest has introduced a lot of copyright infringement, and I've been aware of this for a long time. And it's one reason for my other business I never really put my work on there. Because not only did I find people were stealing ideas and then passing them off as their own. Okay, that's not good. So when I was pushing on the inside, a little of the Fabri-Tac was getting on the outside. I'm going to try to rub that off a little bit. But I also think that people, I've noticed that there's also been instances where people actually put pictures on their website of work that isn't even theirs. And that's just fraud. Not just fraud to their customers, but fraud to the person that you stole the image from. All right, I'm going to stop for a second and look at this. And I don't know if you can see this, but I really don't like the words that are there. So I think I want to put an image here. I like this one, so I'm just going to trim it better, or see if I have a punch that maybe will make it nice and clean for me. This one probably will. So anyway, especially if you're going to sell your journals, post pictures of your journals, and sell them, share them, give them as gifts, you have a responsibility. Okay, this is going to be challenging. I think you have a responsibility to educate yourself on policies, just so that you're being, not only are you being respectful, but then you don't have to worry about what you're using. All right, this is just going to be really hard to do. I think what I need to do is put a little glue on the back of my finger. Of course, I can't really see the yellow though, so that's a challenge. Maybe just guide it. There you go. You see that? I just put a teeny bit of glue stick, and that was enough just to kind of move it where I want it. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do the edges. I think we have a responsibility to educate ourselves and make sure that we're not breaking breaking copyright and infringing on people's rights. I mean, if you've ever really made a journal and you have a style, it would be very frustrating if then you saw somebody make the exact same journal with the exact same things you did. You know, I mean, it's really intellectual property is what it is. I'm going to press that right there. So, I am interested in this conversation, and I really want to make sure I educate myself as well. Now, over the years, I've worked in marketing and PR. I was a graphic artist, so I am somewhat aware of these issues. I've taken seminars on intellectual property before, so I think I was always careful before. And honestly, public domain does make me a little uncomfortable at times, because I do believe like there's got to be some differences. Like, for instance, if an ad was published in 1901 and we know anything published before, 1923 is public domain, but let's say it was an image posted by Campbell's. Does Campbell's still own that? Campbell's is still a very active company with a lot, they trademark their images. So, things like that I really wouldn't be sure about. So that's things I'm looking up for myself right now. Okay, let me look at that. So let me say one last thing about this before I move on. A book that I read a few years ago that has been very inspirational to me is called Steal Like an Artist. And the reason I read it was because at the time I was doing a lot in clay, and I was taking a lot of ideas from online, and I really wasn't sure what the gray area it was between inspiration and copying. And this book is a really great resource as far as understanding how other artists can influence your work and inspire your work without knocking them off. And also, artists have always stolen from each other. And when I say stolen, I don't mean stolen, but they have always been inspired by each other, and ideas grow from other ideas. So we don't have to be paranoid that, being inspired by someone and using something they did to jump off is copyrighted material. So anyway, let's move on to a more fun subject. I'll just say I'm not too worried about it. I'm conscientious. I try to educate myself, and I think I will. I appreciate all the work everybody's doing, and I'm going to look forward to reading those resources, but because I think it'll be helpful to all of us. So now I have this covered. I want to ink this edge here. And I want to ink this edge here. And now I have like all the yellow and orange covered except for this. So I'm thinking maybe if I put a nice ribbon, that will come out the top, which I kind of like. It'll cover the stitching, but that's okay. So I think I'm going to do that, but I have to be careful of the bend. So the ribbon has to go a little bit inside the pocket. So I think that'll be easier if I don't have it stick out down here. And I'm going to have to be careful not to get glue on the inside of this pocket, or else this pocket will get glued shut. And that would not be the intention of this detail. Okay, and now what I think I want to do is take a piece of paper or card or something and just make sure that that stays open. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there to keep that open while that dries. I mean, there's a little bit of orange here and there, teeny bit, like right there. I don't think that's going to bother Amy because she's very, she rips and tears and sews, and she's very organic, so. Okay, so now I have my 3 folds, and I can start decorating it, and this is when I go on quality control. Everything's in, and I want to make sure that it's really good. Everything's glued well, everything's inked that I want it inked, and I can add some details. So from the bend, I don't know if you can see this, there is no pocket here, and from the bend, this right here is kind of going to fray. So I'm thinking I need to add a little bit of something that's going to go over that. This is not going to be thick enough. And I don't want to disrupt this textile here. I don't think washi tape will be strong enough. All right, so I have this little bin of textiles. Let's see what I have in here. Oh, that might work. Let's see how thick that is. It's funny how you start with one thing that becomes the base, and then before you know it, you've like made this whole other thing. Well, it's a little thick, and I just don't think it's going to stick well. Maybe I do have some wide washi. Let me see. This is my favorite washies. I put them all in this one little box. That way I can find them easier. I've tried so many different ways to organize, and I just find that this seems to work the best for me, because I'm just not really that neat about putting things away. All right, so I have this bright blue, bluish green that probably would be okay. This is a little wider. It'll probably stick out a little less, but I just don't know how it's going to do on a textile. This has birds, but I think it's just going to be too broken up. What should we do? What should we do? I'm looking up at my wall right now because I have a whole bunch of washi and things up there. I'm still thinking a lace or a textile would be better. Maybe a see-through lace, something that's not going to obstruct this textile, but will be able to hold it down. I mean, it's going to probably interfere. All right, so I like lace, but it's just, this one's now too wide. Same one, just different color. I know black is a little bit much, but I'm just looking at the width. All right, this calls for drastic measures. I'm pulling out my drawer on my desk and looking in there because I have tons of laces and trims in here. I want to see what I have. I have a light pink. And all I need to do really is, I think this will go over if I glue it well enough. Let's see. So do you see that? See how that's just gonna fray? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with some Fabri-Tac right down the middle, just to hold it in place. Okay. And you know, it does come through lace, so I'm just gonna push it down for a second. Kind of pull up this, pinch this, you know, I'm going to pinch the paper closed. And then I'm going to stick that on right in the middle. Now I'll just put a little here. I'm not really going to make a bead. I'm going to press it down as I go, kind of. Okay. And now on this side. All right. Good. I like that. It's subtle. The pink is very light. It's subtle. And nope, those are not going to work. Where are my little fabric scissors? Well, I know these cut well. Okay. So now I just need to put a little bit of glue wherever it's not adhering. That side looks pretty good. Okay, so what else do I need to do on the front? Let's see. I like that detail there. The only thing I'm wondering is maybe like a little stamp or something here. This is my stamp ephemera book, which I'm going to be doing a video on. And all I have in here are essentially stamps and labels. And I just think I want something small and pretty. So I have these little Stamperia cutouts. Kind of like that. I think I like that one the best for this. And then, let me put this back in my, see if I can find an actual real stamp. think I would like that. Yeah, it's very subtle. I think it's very subtle, and it'll just sort of go right there. Oh, I don't want to cover the flower. I meant to put it up here. Ugh, I hate when I do that. Let it dry a little bit. Sorry, Amy. I hate when I make a mistake. And I know there's no mistakes, but there are technical difficulties. Okay. And then, where's that little stamp that I just picked out? You probably all just saw it go flying and said, were warning me, and then I picked it up because I made that mistake. There it is. Okay, so I need to cut this better. Does everybody know what this is? This is like a Tim Holtz like frayer. There's probably better ways where you can do this without buying something, but I just thought it was a cheap little tool. Different holes, tear it up in different ways. Sort of frays paper in a way that you can make something look a little bit more authentic. I think I'm going to put that here. And it looks like I need to put some Fabri-Tac on here because this material doesn't seem like some things are gluing as well to it. Okay, so I think that's pretty good for the cover, and I can place things in here. And then this side has the pocket. I might want to put a couple little somethings right here, and I do want something on here. So when I open it, it's not so boring. Oh, I like that bird. She loves birds, so she probably would appreciate a bird. But I don't like it being lined up with this one. This kind of makes it look like it's sitting in the tree, which I kind of like. I'll have to turn it a bit so that the bird fits fine, but it actually looks like it belongs there, so I kind of like that. So in this case, I'm just gonna trim anywhere on the fussy cut that isn't quite right. And okay, so this is why when I put things in my little ephemera folder, I don't do the final cutting until I know how I'm going to use it. So I have a new glue stick because my purple one is just, it's at the end and this is so delicate. So I'll get my little glue paper here down and I'm going to glue all the little pieces and parts. Careful not to break anything. And then I'm going to place it where I think it fits. So it looks like it's actually part of the picture. And this glue stick glues matte, so if it gets a little on the paper, it'll be okay. There. All right, so now that's a little bit more decorative and it kind of has some symmetry. I kind of want something else here, I just don't know what. Maybe some text would be nice. Maybe just a little bit. Problem is I don't like what these words say at all. I need to go to my, oh, maybe some music paper. I haven't used music paper yet. Music is always nice. Let's see what I have hanging around. I have some music paper that could just go right up there. I have this one that I sewed already and it has a little bit of like a ruffle. That's kind of neat and it has like the black strings. I just would need to cut it. I kind of like that, although this has a lot of texture and so does this, and I don't want it to be too bulky. Just making sure there's no other place for it. That makes sense. Although I do like that there. Trim it just a hair more. I kind of like that there. So I'm actually going to put that there. Probably should have inked that. Okay. And then I liked this piece just going down, or one of these pieces. I think it was this piece. Yeah. I don't think I want it past here. All right, so I'm going to ink that. Okay, that's enough interest for me. Now, I don't know, do you hear this? This is glass. I try not to glue on it just so it doesn't get sticky on my area. I try to remember to have something like this down. But this is an antique desk from England, and underneath it is a very, very old piece of leather that was placed on the inset of the secretary's flap, and I don't want to get that, I don't want to ruin that in any way. So there was a store going out of business, and this is just a little tip if there's ever like a little retail store going out of business and they're selling every part of the store. You can go in and buy sometimes the glass shelves, which is what I did, and I lay the glass shelves on my work area because you can just scrape off the glue with a knife or a blade after, and it's terrific. So here's my glue stick. I'm terrible about putting that on, so my coffee is very cold now, so I'm just going to put that aside. Okay, so now I have my flap here, and I think I'm just going to ink this edge here. You know, this corner keeps bending, and I think it's because there's not a lot of support. I think I want to trim this edge this way, just because I think it's going to help not, and I might put a little washi right there to make it a little bit stronger. I'm going to match the washi that's behind it. Sort of like a little bit of a corner piece, just because I just feel like it needs a little strength. And then I'll trim that off. Because it overlays just a little bit, it's just going to always be a little vulnerable. Okay. All right, so I'm happy with this. I'm happy with that. I'm trying to keep it somewhat simple and not over embellished because I'm going to be adding things into here. I do feel like something should go there. Let's see what I have for pictures that I pulled. I know I pulled some pictures, but there's other little things I could also, like there's flowers, but I already have a flower. Let me see. I could also add like a little element too. Like I could add like a little envelope maybe. Let's see what else I have. I like to use name tags a lot. I'll buy pretty decorative ones because they're already a great cardstock. They're already folded and they're strong, and I can simply sew them and make little tuck spots. But this is too brown. I'm not a big fan of that. Let's see. So I could make a little pocket somewhere, maybe right there, and then just put a little picture or something here. Oh, I like the colors of that guy. I actually do. Oh, I like him there. I actually like him there. And maybe I'll just put a little something there. I just feel like this space needs to be broken up. Okay, so let me trim him a little bit, and I will speed this up too, just so that you're not watching me at forever. And I'm not a big fan of the brown. I want to make sure that's prettier. So I am going to take some kind of paper, which you can hear off screen, and I apologize that it's off screen. And I can just add that like that. It's actually, the glue has unglued, so I need to make sure that I do that before I notice that happens sometimes when you buy these things. The glue releases because they're not using the best glue. And I'm just going to actually leave the little fringe. Actually, I should put a little paper in there. That would be kind of cute before it's completely glued down. I am really, really pressing it though, if I think I can trim that. Aren't I? Well, that's going to be interesting. Let's see what I can do with that. I'm going to put that right there. Again, not even going to try to measure it. I'm just going to place it on and trim it after. I want to leave a little bit of a border. And then I need to take my scissors and trim that down. And you're saying, okay, Michelle, let's see how you do this. What are the chances that I don't even know if I care about the little points, as long as I get the curve. You know what I'm saying? Actually, wouldn't that be funny? I can't figure out a way to do that. Maybe if I had punched it first. Let's see what else I got here. I can probably Nah, I can't do that because it'll do it the other way. Okay, I was thinking of a cheat, but that cheat is not going to work. So I'm just going to go around like that, and then I'm going to ink it like that. Can go right there. And something can go right in the middle if I want, but I don't know, I think that's awfully pretty the way it is. We'll see if I come across anything while I suppose there were those little stamps I put on the front, the Stamperia stamps, which could be cute. See, where were those Stamperia stamps? Yeah, that could be cute. And the purple brings out the purple there. I already used this one on the front. I think it needs to be blue or purple. I think that one's pretty. So let's see. The other thing I could try, I'm looking at all my tools, that's why I'm quiet right now. I have these pinking shears. Let's see if this will do a better job on the stamp. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's not perfect. That's not too bad. Yeah, I like that. You know, it's funny because, you know, I say, okay, I'm going to make a little project from an envelope, and then before you know it, it's 4 hours later. You can just so go down that rabbit hole of adding and adding and adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. Okay, so let's look at what I have. I have the cover. I had a piece of paper, which I think I'm going to put in the back pocket so it's not so blank and stark. It's probably not what I'm going to end up with back there, but I just don't want it to be so empty right now. Okay. Okay, so here we go. And look at all these threads. Amy, I think I'm going to leave a lot of them on, and you can trim them as you want, because, I mean, this one's ridiculous. Nobody needs a thread that long. All right, let's clear this out and see what we got here. Okay, so we have our front cover. The only thing I don't like here is that this goes down here, so I might add something here. And then I have this envelope, that pocket, and then I have this inside, which may be something to go there, but I'm not sure. I don't think I want anything there right now. And then I have this embellished, and this embellished, that down the center, pockets there, and then pockets on the back. So the only thing that I don't even know if it bothers me, well, I guess it does, or I wouldn't be saying it, right, is that that's not quite flush. And I do have kind of an issue. I'm not a perfection person with everything, but I don't like when things are not quite flush. So I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit of lace on the bottom here. just like that. And then when I close it, do you see what happens? That comes out the bottom here, and I don't really see the piece that was bothering me before. And I'll trim that in a second as soon as it's all glued. And then it finishes off the bottom here nicely. I kind of like that. So this will be my little Happy Mail folio. I'll either tie it with a ribbon or an elastic, and I will fill it with goodies. So I think what I'm going to do right now is end this video, but say this. I'm going to do a third video, and the third video will be all about stuffing Happy Mail. And we will put this one together. I'll show you how I choose the things that I include in Happy Mail, how I package it as far as like the little extras, and then we will send it on its way. And hopefully my friend Amy will like it. So thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.